Max told me not to do any comedy. You understand how comedians are. Messed in the head. Is everybody having a good time at Nexus? That's a huge cheer for not very many people. Where is everybody? No answers. They're missing out. Yeah, while they dress the set, I'm up here talking to you about what you're going to see. So I'm going to be kind of the moderator. I'll be, trying to keep these two apart as they debate Bitcoin versus gold. I think I know where everybody in this audience pretty much, what side they... Max and I, actually our website is maxkeiser.com, silver, gold, Bitcoin. So we cover all of them. But Bitcoin, gold has been, it's $1,300 right now. It was $1,300 in 2011, in 2012, 2013. It's like been $1,300 forever. So I see that people might be a little bit bored of it. Everybody got bored of it, especially while watching Bitcoin soar and soar and soar. And, Peter Schiff, of course, hated Bitcoin when it was $3 when we spoke to him. He hated it when it was $20 when we spoke to him. He hated it when it was 100, 200, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, and 5,000. So we'll get to the heart of why he still hates it all the way up. I think he's kind of being converted that now. Which white paper? Oh, Satoshi's. Because, I have to warn Peter, he kind of sounds like Jamie Dimon, sometimes. I think we can all agree one doesn't want to sound like Jamie Dimon. But, to be fair, he's a good sport, I think, coming up and confronting all sorts of crypto fanatics. And he's willing to take them all on. But so I guess I'm not sure if I'm allowed to introduce them now. We're going to be recording this for KEISER Report too. So it'll air on the network. Did you hear Max scream back there? Okay, are Max Keiser and Peter Schiff ready? I saw the lights turn off. Okay, introducing the one and onlys, Max Keiser and Peter Schiff. You two over there?
All righty.
So,
Fight with these?
Yeah.
Bang, bang, bang.
Max came dressed for a fight.
Yeah, I know. Well, he took off his baseball cap. He was ready to go.
Yeah, I'm getting all formal and everything.
See, you didn't get the dress code memos.
Peter Schiff came dressed to sell Max a dodgy CDO. So, Peter, one of the loudest claps, I don't know if you heard me back there, but one of the loudest applause I got was when I said that Peter's sounding a lot like Jamie Dimon these days.
Oh, well, I did disagree with some of the things Jamie Dimon said.
Oh, well, tell us what you disagree. So, Jamie Dimon, in case you don't know, he's the CEO of JP Morgan Chase, the largest bank in America, and he called Bitcoin a fraud and that governments will shut it down. And he compared it to the tulip bulb mania. Peter Schiff, first say what you disagreed.
Well, I compared it to tulip bulbs long before Jamie Dimon, but no, what Jamie Dimon said is he said, look, I can see why criminals would want to use something like this, but I have no idea why an American citizen would ever need anything other than the U.S. dollar because, so he doesn't see the risks in our financial system. He doesn't see the risks to the dollar. I mean, I know that there are a lot of people who are in cryptocurrencies who are not criminals. I mean, the vast majority of people who are in them are not criminals. And there's valid reasons for being worried about the U.S. banking system, about the U.S. dollar. And people should be seeking out safe havens. It's not just people that live in countries that obviously have monetary problems, right? There are countries going through massive inflation right now, and people need a solution. But I think that that's America's future. If you want to look at what's happening in some countries in South America, I mean, the same thing could happen in North America. And so I think people need an alternative. So I disagree with Jamie Dimon that everything is fine and there's nothing to worry about. But where I agree with him is that Bitcoin is not the solution. I do believe that it's like, digital tulip bulbs, and I do believe that it's going to collapse. I do believe it's going to end badly, and I do believe that people are going to lose a lot of money. I don't necessarily think the governments will shut it down because I think it'll shut itself down. But if I'm wrong and it gets even bigger and bigger, then I think the governments will shut it down. But one way or another, I think it's going to end very badly for the people who are holding on to the currencies.
Of course, everybody in the audience knows that HSBC Bank developed boxes in which the drug cartels in Mexico could fit $1 million in U.S. dollars, cash, fiat, the thing that Jamie Dimon didn't seem to understand, that most drug laundering and money laundering happens in dollars. Max, what do you say about this tulip bulb argument that everybody throws around?
Well, I mean, the price is high, but the bubbles that I see are in the U.S. dollar. Is in an extraordinary bubble. The government bond markets are in 200 and 300-year bubbles. The U.S. bonds have not been this high for 240 years. We've never seen U.S. bonds this high. In Britain, bonds have never been high since they created the Bank of England. It's 300 years. That's an enormous bubble. The stock market's in a bubble. Property markets are in bubbles. So, yeah, sure, Bitcoin is high, but it's in reaction to a system that's falling apart because of these other more extreme bubbles. So on a relative basis, I don't see it as a bubble as compared to, and we both agree that, these things, these dollars, there are people in Europe that are stuffing euros in toilets. If you saw that story in Switzerland, okay, this is the devil's currency, and we can all agree on that.
Into the mic.
This is shit. Right? We don't want any of this shit. This is all shit. This is what Jamie Dimon spawns.
Into the mic.
This is the fertilizer.
Are you prepared to do that with hundreds?
Yes. I'm prepared to do this. All fiat money. I propose all of you take your fiat money out tonight and burn it. So that make a full commitment to Bitcoin. There's no going back. Don't ever go back to your fiat money ever.
Well,
buy some gold, because Peter's got to eat too.
You know what?
But never, never go back from crypto.
You know what? Using it to buy crypto is the same thing as ripping it up and throwing it on the floor.
Oh, Max, are you going to let that lie?
In the word of the Big Lebowski, that's like just your opinion, dude.
Well, how about this? I read an analysis about this whole tulip bubble. Everything gets compared to the tulip bubble. And Bitcoin, they argued, was actually more like the tulip bubble than Peter Schiff could understand, in that a lot of the understanding of the tulip bulb mania is actually about fake news by some journalist named McKay. And he reported it wrong. In fact, what happened is that people weren't necessarily buying tulip bulbs. It was the only financial product available to ordinary citizens. You didn't have to be like a qualified investor sort of thing.
Yeah, well, McKay, he wrote a book, Popular Delusions of the Madness of Crowds, but he wasn't around reporting on it back in Holland.
Yeah.
He wrote a book. But I think if they republish that book, they should add a chapter so they can put Bitcoin in there, because it's all, it's all the same mentality. That's the lesson. I mean, everybody here should read that book. Because whether, he got it exactly right or wrong, it is the mentality, the psychology that envelops a bubble.
No, that psychology is everywhere. Max and I have talked about gold, silver, Bitcoin for years on our show. We get people who say the same thing in the gold market. They're like, I was hoping to have $3,000 gold now, so I have more fiat currency. So they weren't thinking it. Like most people I know in the Bitcoin space don't really think of it in dollar terms. They think of it as a different financial system, completely different. A lot of the people in the gold market think of it as how much they could flip it for in a year or two.
No, not my clients. I mean, I tell people to, buy your gold and keep track of how many ounces you have. I mean, think in terms of the weight of gold that you own, because measuring it in dollars can mean nothing if the dollar collapses. But what's real is how much gold you have. And that is the other
too.
difference, like in Bitcoin. If somebody has 10 ounces of gold, they have 10 times as much gold as somebody who has 1 ounce. If someone has 10 Bitcoins, they don't have anything more than someone that has 1. There's no extra weight. There's no extra thing that you can do with it.
Yeah, but
it's the same. But if you have more gold, it's actually more stuff. You can make more things.
You have
out
more
of the extra gold.
Satoshis with Bitcoin.
Well,
But no matter how many you have, you still don't have anything.
when Euro Pacific Capital was recommending foreign stocks and foreign currencies to buy gold mines stocks that in turn collapsed 80%, I didn't go around telling your clients that they were in a bubble.
What do you mean?
Because it was collapsed 80%.
Yeah,
You had an 80% collapse. I mean,
there was in gold stocks.
So was
yeah.
there?
Well, and gold stocks were up 1,000% before they had that decline. But yeah, but
there's volatility. So,
Yes,
in your view, there's a bubble in this space, not a bubble in that space,
that's-
because if you've got a bias expressed
gold stocks,
in
though,
your business.
Gold stocks are a investment in a company. It's not money. I'm not selling gold stocks as a safe haven, low volatility. When I tell my clients to buy gold stocks, it's, hey, this is very risky. And if you think the price of gold could go way up, then you can put some of your money to gold stocks because you have a lot of leverage. And if gold goes up, like if gold goes up to 2,000 from here, which is about 1,250, and it goes to 2,000, that's about a 40% move. I bet people will make 500% in gold stocks. So there's a lot of leverage. A 40% move in gold could take you 500% in stocks. But obviously, if gold goes back down to 1,000, right, your gold stocks could go down 60, 70%. So there's a lot more risk there. But when I tell people to buy gold, gold is not nearly as volatile. Gold is more of a safe haven. It's a store of wealth. It's an alternative to a fiat currency. Very different than buying stock in a company that is mining gold. In fact, a lot of gold mining companies don't even have gold. They're exploration companies. They're trying to find it.
Right. It's a lot of times they don't find any gold.
I know, they don't.
They go to zero. So it's a hugely speculative play in a bubble situation. And on the Toronto Stock Exchange, a lot of these companies are out there. They're worth absolutely nothing. There's people buy into it. They go to zero. Now, as far as gold being a safe haven, it is a safe haven. As I've talked about it myself many times, as is Bitcoin a safe haven, in that it fulfills the requirements of a safe haven. And in terms of money, in terms of looking at it as
Bitcoin,
money.
how many years has Bitcoin been around?
Since 2009.
All right. Yeah, so where is your track record? I mean, to me, it's a risk asset. I mean, you can't say that I'm going to buy Bitcoin today. I mean, Bitcoin's around $3,500 a Bitcoin. I mean, it can as easily be at $5,000 next week as $3,000. And how can something that has that much volatility be considered safe? Like, I'm going to park my money in Bitcoin because I'm worried about something. I'm just going to park my money here to keep it safe. I don't want to worry about it. I mean, there's plenty to worry about. I mean, Bitcoin is riskier than most assets. I would say that it's the most risky asset right now that you have. I mean, if you're selling your stocks, if you own the S&P 500 and you sell that, which is risky, to buy Bitcoin, you've gone from one risky asset to an asset that's even riskier.
So let's look at the safe haven aspect of the government. Now, China is just trying to ban Bitcoin and ICOs and things like that. Why? They're trying to block capital flight. They're not banning gold. Because why? You can't cross the border with a block of gold. But you can transfer $10 million worth of Bitcoin in an instant. I tried crossing the French-London border with $10,000 worth of silver. Believe me, I got stopped. And they were like, what the heck is this? And it broke my my Samsonite suitcase. So
you can have a gold watch, gold jewelry. You can take stuff across the border. But,
I know you can, but they notice it. And
yes, a lot of people were using Bitcoin in China to circumvent exchange controls to get money out of China. And yes,
it's a safe haven.
Well, no, it's not a safe haven. It was being used as a way to move money out of China. Once they moved it out, maybe they liquidated their Bitcoin and bought Swiss francs or dollars or gold. You don't know what they did with the Bitcoins once they got out of China.
Well,
but they used China as a way to circumvent those rules. And so that's why China's cracking down on it, because they don't want their
Venezuela is cracking down on it? All these governments are cracking down on Bitcoin, not on gold.
Oh, well, I guess that's a positive for gold, isn't it?
No, it would suggest that they're not afraid of gold, that it's not as safe as you might think it is.
Well, why do you think central banks own gold? I mean, they recognize the value in gold, and but I think that one of the reasons they're not even more aggressive in Bitcoin is they're not as afraid of it. I don't think they regard it as a real threat to their monetary system. I do think they see it as a potential, use for crime. But I do believe that the government will be able to, if they haven't already, figure out how to trace Bitcoin to the owner by looking at the internet and using to backtrack using search patterns or whatever, and almost like a fingerprint. So it's almost like if a criminal ends up using Bitcoin, that might be how they catch them. They might be able to use the internet to trace people to their wallets and figure it out. And so that's where if they thought it was a real threat to their monetary system, then they would probably go after it already.
So, Max, one thing that Peter Schiff has said is that Bitcoin is not scarce because of all of these new altcoins and ICOs. What do you think about this argument?
Well, the scarcity argument is one where the ecosystem around Bitcoin, the investment into the Bitcoin protocol, multi-billion-dollar investment, it's one that is serving the interest of those who are part of that ecosystem. It's like having a very profitable gold mine. You have put money into this gold mine. You are extracting wealth from this gold mine. And there might be other gold mines in the area that you would be interested in mining. You would have to incentivize to move from currently the profitable gold mine into another gold mine. And that is not, there's a cost associated with that. And as far as the other coins that have come along that are mimicking attributes of Bitcoin, you have other competitors for gold. You have silver, you have platinum, you have other precious metals, you have other collectibles. There's a huge market around the world for so-called scarce commodities or scarce commodities that represent value. In the case of Bitcoin, it is the one that is attracting the most fervent interest at this time, and it has it's not something that can be replicated easily in the way that you can't replicate, let's say, the HTTP protocol that runs the internet, parts of the internet. This is an established protocol. It's an entrenched protocol. You could come up with a competitor in 5 minutes, but you already have the network effect that's built this out over years. It's not something that can be replicated, and there wouldn't be a user base for it. It is possible that on the extreme case that you would have something coming along and competing with Bitcoin, but that risk also represents itself in precious metals too, the probability of it.
Yeah. Well, first of all, yes. I mean, there are other metals that function as money. Silver is used as money. Copper is used as money. That's been true for hundreds of years or thousands of years as well. But there is no substitute for gold in that there is no other metal that is gold. I mean, they're not going to come up with a new gold. So, yes, you can use other metals as money, and that's already there, and that's been happening. But that is very different than
gold is periodic table element number 79, I believe, and it has unique attributes that people have glommed onto for thousands of years, and it's chemically the way that it is chemically, and it has survived in this store of value. And Bitcoin has attracted, in likewise a manner, a unique ecosystem of developers, and it has the model that is has a well-balanced interest, all associated with this multi-billion-dollar franchise.
Yeah, I get that, but my point is,
it's unique.
Yeah,
it is unique. It is as unique as gold. To say that it's not as unique as gold is false.
I don't think it's unique as gold.
I think
there are plenty of other cryptocurrencies that are as good or better than
gold,
Bitcoin.
There's platinum, there's silver, there's other precious metals.
Look, and you don't.
It's your opinion.
You don't know.
Look, they're equally unique in their own
well,
way.
One
is electronic and one is physical.
Well, look,
okay.
You know, to say that even if these cryptocurrencies were going to work, that the first cryptocurrency is going to end up being the one that everybody wants. It's like saying, well, yeah, the first cell phone is the one everybody uses. You remember those big bricks? Although the first one, was a car phone, or you know what the first television set looked like? It had a tiny little screen. It was like a big piece of furniture with like a 2-inch screen. I mean, assuming that the world is going to want cryptocurrencies, there's going to be so many more that are going to come around that are going to get rid of the ones that are already maybe better than Bitcoin. So there's an unlimited number of new cryptocurrencies that can be introduced into the world that people can buy instead of Bitcoin, and Bitcoin has already spun off Bitcoin Cash, so now they've even diluted itself by creating another Bitcoin. I mean, how many more Bitcoin spin-offs are there going to be over time? So who knows what the supply of Bitcoin will be by all of its various names, but then you have all these other cryptocurrencies coming out. I mean, I get emails now all the time from people, newsletters, trying to get me to give them $50 to get the name of the next three penny cryptos that are going to skyrocket 1,000%. You know, I mean, this is all over the place now. These coins are coming up left and right. So the supply of digital currencies is exploding. And just because people have invested a bunch of money,
and the market is sustaining this burst of other, because there's huge demand in light of the problems that the Bitcoin is set up to address in the banking industry and the flotation of hundreds of trillions of dollars. Yes, it's sustaining it now. And they would love to go to gold, but gold is dead on arrival. It hasn't moved in 4 years. You know, it's like gold is sitting there sleeping, looking at Bitcoin, and what you yourself, you know, got pitched on Bitcoin when it was like $3 or so on the Joe Rogan show, as we found out on the Joe Rogan show.
No, it wasn't $3. It was like $20.
On my show, it was $3.
Well, I don't know. All right, but yes, there's a lot of greedy people who are chasing this bubble with delusions of all the wealth.
I thought you were a libertarian. Isn't greed part of libertarianism? That we're trying to build a better society through self-interest?
Look. People have a right to be greedy, and they have a right to be foolish, and people are being both, right, when they're chasing into this mania. But there is an unlimited supply of these currencies, and right now, yes, there is demand because there are a lot of fools who think they're going to get rich buying them. But at some point, the supply is going to overwhelm the demand, and the price is going to collapse.
So Max and I were at the Bundesbank in Frankfurt, and they have a money museum there. And walls and walls of all the things that have been money and tried as money. People always come back to gold. The same thing will happen with cryptocurrencies. Bitcoin will always be the gold standard.
How do you know that? It's only been around. It's been around for such a short period of time. How can you make a statement? People are always going to want Bitcoins?
Wherever the network is.
All right, let me ask you a question. What's the lowest price you think Bitcoin could fall to?
Well, it's a function of the cost of mining, which is approximately $1,000 Bitcoin. So could drop to 1,000. Just like in the mining industry, when the mining cost of mining gets below what is gold out of the mining stops. It's the same analogy.
But that would just mean that there would be no more supply, but you'd have the existing supply. But
there's a huge demand. I mean, to your point that will the supply ever exceed demand, and therefore there'll be a crash? I think that's a misstatement, because right now the demand for cryptocurrencies is not even scratched the surface due to the hundreds of trillions of dollars in derivatives that are collapsing around the world. You're
assuming that demand. Look,
of course they have to collapse. You know, you can't go to negative interest rates. You can't incentivize people to lend money at the government at a guaranteed negative rate of return. They're only doing this at the point of a gun. It's freaking central bank communists, you know, who think that, we're going to get people to invest at a negative rate of return. And if you don't, we're going to put a bullet in your head. I mean, that's the model that these central banks are pursuing. That's the model of the dollar. I mean, we both don't like the dollar, except you've got a boner for gold in a reason that doesn't make any sense, because they're compatible. We should be on the same page. Your customers want crypto. You're saying, no, it's my ideology prevents you from making money. Well, your customers a year from now are going to say, why did you talk me out of this? You freaking idiot, because now I'm broke. Just like they did 3 years ago. It's going to happen again and again and again. The arguments don't make sense.
The reason we can't be on the same page is because you're in a fiction book and I'm in a nonfiction book. You're actually in a comic book, right? And yes, in a comic book, this could work.
When I look at my Bitcoin wallet compared to gold money, trust me, I'm not in a comic book.
Look.
As a matter of fact, I'd like to buy gold money right now. I'll make you an offer just to shut this debate down.
All right. Well, look. Okay. If you're a Bitcoin billionaire, you can't even afford a suit. How much?
How many billionaires do you know wear suits?
All right. So, but look,
I don't need to wear a suit. I'm not selling anything. It self-sells itself. Anyone who's got a brain and a conscience and a desire to be free is going to want to be in crypto. They're not going to be walking around with a shitload of gold. Hi, I've got 2 tons of gold. Let me into your country. I want to be free. Let me into your country. They'll say, I'll take your gold right now, and you're going to jail.
you know that you need more people to come into the pyramid to keep pushing up the price. But I don't have to care. I can have $10 million worth of gold in my wallet right now and walk around with it. I don't
have
need to
$1 billion on my memory wallet and go anywhere in the world. A 12-word key to my wallet.
It's worthless. Until nobody wants it.
The demand is there because people don't want the fiat money that they're throwing into the toilet, and they want some gold too. I have plenty of gold.
Those fiat crypto monies either. It's the same. It's going to be the same thing.
Okay,
that's what people told me about the housing bubble. There's all this demand. I said yes, but when the demand goes away, there's just supply. And all these houses nobody wanted to buy, and the prices implode.
But they didn't go to zero. Now,
no, because you can live in a house. There's actual value.
Okay.
There's nothing you can do. Bitcoin will probably not go to zero. It'll probably be a few pennies because there'll always be an optionality there. Somebody will buy it like a lottery ticket.
Peter, how many times do we have to hear about you calling the housing bubble before you finally move on? Okay, I mean, you had one good call from 2007,
I didn't have one good call.
And now we're here every time we goes. It's like, I called the housing bubble. Yeah, that was like 10 years ago already.
It's not about my calling
Where
it.
were
It's
you
about
during
explaining
Bitcoin?
it. Look, I didn't participate in the dot-com bubble. I didn't participate in the housing bubble, and I didn't participate in the cryptocurrency Bitcoin bubble either. So I'm consistent.
Gold mining stock bubble, though. There was a gold mining stock bubble.
But I didn't buy them at the highs.
You were
I bought them
recommending
really
them. You did too.
Okay.
Ask Mike.
As part of a diversified portfolio, yes.
Let's
diversified, therefore I didn't lose money. I didn't lose money because it was diversified.
No,
I have less than I started with, but it's not less because I was diversified. That negative number there, that's not negative. It's a diversified number.
Max.
You see what I'm saying?
Max,
it's a tax write-off, which is a gain.
Max.
You made money because you got it written off on your taxes.
What about the people who bought Bitcoin at 1,000 and then when it went down to 200, they sold it and they lost 80% of their money? What about that?
They're idiots.
Well, you can't account for speculators.
Well,
your whole business is dealing with your customers buying gold mining stocks in 2008. They dropped 80%. They sold them. I listened to you on the podcast on radio, nursing people from coming off the ledge to kill themselves. You're like, don't sell now. Don't kill yourself.
And I was right because you know how much they rallied from 08 to 2011?
And you know how much where Bitcoin's going? It's going to 100,000, dude.
No, it's not.
And you're going to be on the Connecticut train station looking at your watch saying,
it's not.
How the fuck did I end up with owning this shit?
It's going to 100,000 Zimbabwe dollars.
You're going to be outside washing dishes.
You brought up the dot-com bubble as well. Max participated in that. He had a dot-com company, and many of the companies of that time.
How did that work out?
Yeah, but
they sold it to Cantor Fitzgerald for a shitload of money. They used my technology in the derivatives trading markets to feather the nests of Howard Lutnick and all those Cantor Fitzgerald guys. They moved it to the top floor of the World Trade Center 3 months before 9/11. That's exactly what happened. And my comment to Howard Lutnick was, I told you it's a prediction market.
But that's interesting because actually Max mentioned the patent that was used on the Hollywood Stock Exchange to price virtual commodities, which now that patent is referenced over and over and over again by JP Morgan, BlackRock, all these people to price derivatives. So a lot of value did emerge out of the dot-com bubble, including the likes of Amazon now. Amazon almost went to zero back then. Many of these companies did. Now they're
Yes, the vast majority went to zero and stayed there. But yes, there were a few of those companies that survived and went up. But
so can we get that in the crypto space? We're trying to find some common ground here.
Well, so do you think there'll be a few survivors and most of them will go to zero? Look, I don't think any of them are going to win. I mean, people say, well, I'm going to have a diversified portfolio of cryptos so I get the winners. They're all going to lose. I mean, the difference is, some of these companies were legitimate companies. They built a market. They built a customer base. They got revenues. They generated profits, and so they came back and they grew. I just don't think that if you get a big drop in Bitcoin, let's say the price does go back down to 1,000 or 500.
But you're basically only looking at the share price, essentially. The price of Bitcoin is the share price of, say, Apple. Apple has a share price, and then they have products. There's many products in the cryptocurrency community. The blockchain, there's all sorts of functions. And even look at this Equifax hack. That wouldn't happen in the blockchain space because you control your private keys.
The people who are buying Bitcoin now they're not the hardcore libertarians that bought them when you guys bought them. These are speculators. These are hedge funds that want to make a quick buck. They don't
all markets need losers, right?
Well, these are the losers. The ones that are buying in now are going to be the big losers. When the price goes down. But I think once
Yes,
once
it
the
does.
price collapses, then you have a big problem with the brand, because it's hard to sell something as a currency, as a safe store of your purchasing power, if it's collapsed in price and you don't know where the bottom is. It could keep collapsing. I mean, people might say, "Oh, don't worry, it'll go back up because it went back up before." There's no guarantee. Just because
Bitcoin has survived Mount Gox. It survived.
yeah,
like,
it survived
gazillion.
not even a decade.
No,
Let's see it.
And it's made it stronger and stronger. Like the most genius minds out there work in the crypto space.
The brands always survive if there's a thought to make money. I mean, look at the sovereign bond market with various countries going bankrupt. And then they come back a year later and they can sell bonds because there's people out there willing to take on risk to make some return on their money in the financial products industry. So Bitcoin is an instrument. It's a financial instrument in that regard. And regardless of the price action or the move in the price action, there will be people who perceive it in good value. What is the value proposition of Bitcoin? It fulfills all the four major categories under Aristotle's proposition for good money. What is value? It's the portability, divisibility, fungibility, and scarcity and desirability. It fulfills all those characteristics.
I would debate the scarcity, but it doesn't have any real money. Must be a commodity in and of itself before it's money. It must have actual use. No, it's not.
It is.
Okay, so you tell me what can you do with your bitcoins right now?
Sound.
What
I have a Bitcoin debit card. I can go
no,
anywhere
but that's
in the world
not
and buy
spending
stuff.
it.
That's right.
What can you do?
But Peter, I believe
I can secure immutably for all time in history data. On a blockchain, the Bitcoin is the biggest blockchain in the world. Every 10 minutes, it's totally verified. Yes, you do. Because otherwise, you have the ability of others to come in and change that database. Databases, you can have any database product and come along and secure data, but it's not immutable and it's not stored.
No, it has to have
secure because of the technology of proof of work.
It has to have an actual
every 10 minutes.
Apart from
securing data is useful. Securing
what data are you securing?
Any data that you would
want.
What
data are you securing?
Financial data, mortgage data.
But on your data, if I have one,
my birth certificate, my personal data, my verification of who I am, so I don't need Equifax to sell my data and lose my data and fuck my data. I can have my data on a private key and say this is me. It's immutable. It's every 10 minutes. It's verified. That's who I am. Give me my fucking money.
You don't need Bitcoin either.
Yes, you do, because it's the most secure. It's the only secure database that's ever been invented. That's the technology. You fail to understand that it's a new technology that is as profound as the printing press or the electric light bulb. You're comparing it to things that you shouldn't be comparing it to. It makes no sense. You're talking nonsense.
Yeah, this is.
Look, it's a brand new breakthrough in technology. Your kids are going to be wondering why their dad didn't see the value. They'll be like, Dad must have been on drugs because you never saw the value.
This is a cult of Bitcoin. This is your guru. This is the type of reaction that you're going to get. I mean, you might as well be Sung Young Moon or something, or just don't drink any.
Let me help you help yourself.
Peter, do you accept Bitcoin? Huh? Does Euro Pacific Capital?
Well, Euro Pacific Precious Metals.
You do.
No, we don't accept Bitcoin. What we do is we make it easy for people who have Bitcoin to sell it to get dollars to buy gold from SCHIFF Gold. But we do not accept Bitcoin, and nobody really there's no company
who accepts gold. Who accepts gold? You've got your gold metal card in there. You say, look, I've got my gold card. When you use it at a retailer, they make it right back to dollars. They don't keep it in gold. They don't want gold because you can't pay taxes in gold. You can't have any value in gold. Nobody accepts gold.
But I can wear my gold. There's a ring. You can't do anything.
I can wear my hard drive up my asshole and know that I'm a millionaire and without you knowing about it.
See, look,
because it's anonymous. I don't need to flash my wealth. I know it's in my brain.
No. See, Max is talking about gold money where you can get a debit card to convert your gold into dollars.
Show the card. Show the card.
But what gold money can do, I can take my gold and transfer it to a merchant. Believe me, if most merchants, if they knew they can get paid in gold, would want it. Because I would rather get paid in gold than dollars. Gold is real money. Gold is stable and reliable. No one wants to take a chance on being paid in Bitcoin. But if people thought they can be paid in gold, they would go for it. But this is my gold money card.
It's my paper wallet.
Yeah.
This has my keys right here, my private keys. I'm blind. But my card actually goes up in value instead of gold, which is going down.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's see. You know what? Let's see what you say in a couple of weeks. if Bitcoin is way lower?
I'll say buy.
Are you still, no matter
I'll
how
say
low
buy
it is,
it.
you'll be saying bye-bye, right? Doesn't matter how low it goes, you're just going to take this ship and ride it all the way to the bottom, right? You're just going down with it. Right?
Well,
doesn't matter how low it goes.
I believe that there is an intrinsic value, price point, around $1,000, and I think that you can get down to there, possibly. And I would recommend the need for it is profound, and it's universal, and people are buying it who are in dire circumstances in countries that have been mentioned, like Venezuela and other countries where
you might have confidence. I believe me, a lot of people will lose confidence in Bitcoin at 1,000. A lot of people who bought it at 5,000, 4,000, 3,000, it goes to 1,000, and they're staring at, well, where's it going next? Back to 5,000 or down to 100? There's a lot of money.
That's true of every speculative class or every investment
but a lot
class
of yes,
of anything possibly under the sun. It's not unique to Bitcoin. You're not unique to gold.
But you're trying to
just
sell
because
it as a
gold
safe
has been
haven.
sleepy and dormant and hasn't moved in 4 years.
Yeah, but
doesn't
look
make
how
it
much
that much more
it's
interesting.
moved up a lot since this decade or this century. It started in 2000 below 300. It moved up to 1,900. It pulled back. It formed a base. I think it's going to go up again, 5,000, 10,000. Price of gold's going higher.
I would believe the exact same thing for Bitcoin. It's just forming a base. It's going to be.
It's not forming a
the
base.
demand
It's
is
forming a bubble.
in the 3,000s.
There's no base.
In your view, that's your view, and you're entitled to your view.
It is,
but in my view, and in those people who are buying this, they're forming a base.
A lot of people share my opinion, too. I'm not the only one that thinks this way.
Well,
so.
the establishment media that has a
But
vested
look,
interest in pushing dollar bills to finance wars.
Look, I mean,
That's
no,
right.
look,
Because warmongers got to fight. Warmongers got to kill people. Warmongers love the dollar. Oh, where's the gold come from?
Jim Rickards. I mean, there's a lot of other
Every single one of them have missed the Bitcoin.
Yeah, they
Every
all
single one of
agree
them.
with me. These are all
And they're all losing. They're all on a relative basis. The performance sucks.
To profit from other people's greed and ignorance. That's what they're doing. Yes.
This is one of those questions where you have to wait
You have
6
to ask
months, wait
yourself,
2 years, wait 3 years to say we're going to look back and say
why
who's
are all
right.
these smart people? Why don't we get it? See, people think, well, Peter Schiff doesn't get it. Well, I'm just too old. I'm too set in my ways, or I sell gold, so I have a conflict of interest. Why don't I get it? What's wrong with me? You got to ask, what's wrong with yourselves? I don't get it. I'm a smart guy. And so maybe I don't get it because there's nothing to get. People keep saying, well, you just don't understand it. Maybe I understand it, and that's why I don't buy it. I think you have a delusion
You know what
here.
I think it is?
Okay, we have 2 minutes left.
That's
so
it?
A final statement from each of you. They're going to storm the stage here. So, which one wants to go first?
What's the
Peter. Okay, Peter, go first.
Oh, look, my final statement is, look, I'm pretty sure that I'm right. But let's say that Max is right, all right? And Bitcoin is going to go to 1 million, or where's it going? 1 million, 1 billion, whatever, right? Right. You don't need to keep all the ones that you have now because you'll still be rich, and I'll still be poor because I won't have any. So why don't you take some of your Bitcoins, especially some of your profits, or maybe your principal, your original investment, and convert it into real money, right? Go to goldmoney.com and take your Bitcoin. Hey. Just take some. I'm not telling you to take all.
I've got some there.
Just take a little bit off the top. Just put it aside just in case I'm right. I've been right before, so it's possible I could be right again. So just hedge yourself a little bit. Take a little bit of money. Buy some real gold. And you can still use it in commerce. You can spend it. You can send it around the world for free. You can do all the things that you can do with Bitcoin, but you can do it with actual gold. And do that, and then still hope that I'm wrong, and you become, millionaires or billionaires, and at least I'll know where to go when I need money because I want to have it.
Okay, 1 more minute now, Max.
Okay, so I'm surprised. Well, first of all, I've known Peter a long time. We've kind of been in this business for 25 years. Started out doing similar things on Wall Street and stuff. So we had a lot of fun together, and. Well, I'm sure this won't be the last of these conversations. But I'm surprised that you didn't bring up the best use case for gold and silver in your own home where you live in Puerto Rico. Just got scraped, and there's no energy. There's no electricity. So clearly, in that circumstance, it would not be ideal for a Bitcoin.
Right. All the cell phones are down.
That's right.
You can't call anybody.
Right.
The internet is gone.
And you live in Puerto Rico. So I'm surprised you didn't bring that up, unless you're guilty about being a tax dodger. But anyway, so...
Hey, I'm not dodging. I'm just avoiding.
Just like the president.
That's it, buddy. It's just avoiding.
Although I believe.
Who's going to rebuild Puerto Rico? Is it going to be the government? Yes.
It's going to be all you taxpayers.
Is it going to be the taxpayers that you didn't pay?
No,
are bailing you out?
No,
all these people are bailing you out.
It's going to be well, they're not going to give me any of the money. They're not going to rebuild.
They'll give the Puerto Rico anyway.
But yeah,
Okay.
we're going to print up a bunch of money. We're
now
going to borrow
the
it from
clown show
China.
goes on.
A round of applause for our team.
Again,
All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is momentous. Great to see. By the way, y'all did great. We loved you back there. It was
special
marvelous.
thanks
We might
for
have to
Peter
do this
for coming
again.
into
What do you say?
hostile
Again
environment.
sometime?
Thanks, sir. Thanks.
Stacey, thank you.
Let's take this letter with us.